Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Fortnite training for future American freedom fighters. All right, because I think it's really critical. I think Fortnite may be the most powerful training that is being given to America's freedom fighters right now. All right, so let's talk about why. All right, so here's how it rolls. Okay, so there's a different, Vladimir Putin world, right? So February 24th, Vladimir Putin rolls into Ukraine and then threatens the entire world with NW arcs, with arcing NWs across the seas, right? If anybody tries to stop him from brutally thrashing Ukraine every day and killing Mariupol mothers with babies in their bellies, if anybody tries to stop this, I'm going to make the NWs arc, right? So the whole world changes overnight, right? So one of the things that we've had to look at is who is a noble, dangerous fighter, right? Because that's what Zelensky needs right now. He needs noble, dangerous fighters, right? So how do you become a noble, dangerous fighter? Well, the science on this has changed, right? Like, we used to say, oh, if you want to be a dangerous fighter, you go into the military, right? The U.S. military. But actually, that's not, I think okay, I'll ask it as a question, right? Are U.S. military soldiers dangerous? They don't seem to be dangerous right now. Here's why, okay? All right, so there was a 26-year-old New York carpenter, American, who went over and fought and is fighting in Ukraine right now, okay? And now, he had no military training. He was just carpenter, right? But who's a noble, dangerous fighter? Okay, take a U.S. Army private, second class, sitting in Kansas City, right? Who is trained 100 times better than a New York City 26-year-old carpenter, right? Is that U.S. military soldier a noble, dangerous fighter? Probably noble, not dangerous in any way, and not a fighter. That soldier has been told by President Biden to sit on the couch, and that's what she's doing, right? She is not a dangerous fighter. She is a couch sitter right now. There is villainy happening. Noble, dangerous fighters are needed, right? And so a 26-year-old carpenter who had no military training was like, bet, I'm there. Now I'm a noble, dangerous fighter. Right? And when I say noble, that is not like, this is somebody who is offered $0. $0. This is not a mercenary, okay? This is the opposite of a mercenary. This is somebody who is literally taking their passport and their own money and getting their butt across the sea to fight an unjust invasion. That is a noble, dangerous fighter, right? Not a U.S. military soldier who is willing to fight, but their capability is set to 0, okay, on a scale of 1 to 100, all right? Let's talk about capability. So actually, that U.S. military soldier sitting in Kansas City, right, she's willing to fight, and her capability of fighting is at 80 out of 100. Let's set it at 80 out of 100, okay? Because she doesn't have any special training. She's not like a Marine or like, an SR specialist or something like that, right? She's just a private second class. She's a U.S. Army trained, right? Let's set her fighting capability at 80, right? That sounds pretty dangerous, right? But it's not dangerous when Biden says your fighting capability is 0. There is villainy happening right now. There are people who need your training. There's people who need your equipment. There's people who need you doing what you do. But you just sit on the couch. You're not a noble, dangerous fighter. You're a couch sitter until I tell you you're not. So noble, dangerous fighters are people who are willing and capable, right? And so that 26-year-old New York carpenter from America who's got nothing to do with Ukraine, that's a noble, dangerous fighter, right? And the reason why is their capabilities at 25 out of 100. Their willingness, all you need is just 1 point in willingness, right? But at 25, their ability to fight is more than 0, right? So today, this is what I'm saying. Vladimir Putin has made a world, right, where Volodymyr Zelensky had to rise. And what Zelensky did is he created a world, right, where you are going to, so the most noble, dangerous fighters in the world are not found right now in the U.S. military. They're not, right? Because they can't. Their capability is set to zero, not by any fault of their own, right? But they're not noble, dangerous fighters. They're couch sitters right now because is what Biden has demanded of them, right? And there may be a point where they become noble, dangerous fighters. We'll see, right? But right now, they out of the discussion. They really aren't part of. There is a very devout need for noble, dangerous fighters, right? And Americans are meeting it, and they're literally not in the military because they cannot be in the military, right? Because you can't be in the armed services and then go fight for a war in another country. They actually, if you're a U.S. military soldier right now, you literally cannot help Ukraine, right? You're not allowed to, right? Your capability is set to zero. So we're learning right now that the most noble, dangerous fighters in the world, okay, are people who are willing and have some capability. Well, what gives better capability to fight in a war than Fortnite right now? Nothing. And the reason why is, if you play Fortnite, right, you are going to learn how to find tactical positions. You are going to learn what every single weapon the U.S. military does works. You're going to understand munitions, running out of ammo, finding range, arcing, moving to get a target, leading a target, everything, right? Hiding in a bush, right? Everything, right? You'll learn how to pilot vehicles. You will learn how to fuel vehicles, right? Like, it is, and you won't just learn it like a little bit, you'll learn it a lot, because you will drop hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. You'll learn what a crouched assault is, right? A crouched advancing assault is, right? You will learn everything that is necessary. You will even learn medicine, like how you have to make sure that you're healthy, right? How you have to eat things to fuel your body, right? And I get it. You're like, oh, Scott, that's ridiculous. It was ridiculous before Zelensky. Before Zelensky said, you know what makes you the best fighter in the world? Being willing to fight and not having somebody who can tell you no. That makes you a noble, dangerous fighter, not a couch sitter, right? So if you want to fight today, right? If you want to become a noble, dangerous fighter, about the last thing you want to do is go into the U.S. military, because that's the only way your capability can be set to zero, right? When villainy appears, right? And I completely agree with you. You're like, Scott, like, that doesn't sound like a great way to train fighters. Fortnite, that doesn't sound like a great way. It wasn't until Zelensky showed the world that globally the most noble, dangerous fighters in the world are people who are willing and whose capability cannot be set to zero. So in today's world, if you want to be a noble, dangerous fighter who fights for freedom, you can't join the U.S. military, because that's the only time that you can be guaranteed that somebody could set your fighting ability to zero, right? And so right now, a 26-year-old carpenter from New York City is more dangerous than anyone in the U.S. military. Far more dangerous, because they're willing and they have some capability, and their capability is not set to zero, right? And once you realize that you have people going into war zones who have never been militarily trained, Fortnite becomes invaluable. It is the best possible training. It's free. It's available to anybody who has a screen, and the possum under my porch has a screen now, right? It's free, and it also allows anybody who wants to be a noble, dangerous fighter to reach that position, right? So I actually think we now have landed in a world where Fortnite training is more valuable than U.S. military training. I know that sounds outlandish, right? But this isn't the world I made, and this isn't the world you made. This is the world Vladimir Putin set into motion, and this is the world that Volodymyr Zelensky stabilized, making Fortnite training the most valuable training in the world, in my opinion, to be a noble, dangerous fighter. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please consider liking, subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.